G'day everyone, welcome back to the Wheels YouTube channel, and today we've got something really interesting for you because we're checking out a whole bunch of new electric vehicles from GWM, including the Lightning Cat, which will be known as the GWM Ora Sport here in Australia. The one behind me is the single motor, and it is a seriously quirky bit of kit, so let's dive straight into all the weird things about it right now. The look of these things. GWM pinched an ex-Porsche designer, and you can kind of see that. We've parked the Ora Cat behind it, or just the GWM Ora here in Australia, so you can see the familiar resemblance between the sort of Porsche chrome ringed headlights. Kind of cute, a little bit VW Beetle. You can let me know your thoughts down below. Come down the side, the craziest wheel design I've seen in a long time, and I reckon that's a good cue to jump inside to see how wacky this cabin is. If you thought this thing was Taycan outside, it's even more Taycan in here. This is very reminiscent of a Porsche design, well, at least this bit back here, and the triple dials in front of the R2. But that's about where it ends, because of the rest of this Ora speed is just super quirky, but perhaps not to its fault. I can't understand anything on the screen here, but what I can understand is we've got physical dials here to adjust the fan speed, temperature, and your drive mode. And I'm so grateful that we're seeing a return to this, even in a car as quirky and cool as this vehicle. You've also got this light sort of grey coloured interior and this very Porsche Taycan-esque steering wheel, which actually feels quite good in the hands, thin spindly rim, and in the backseat space is pretty compromised. It is definitely more of a GT sports kind of vehicle rather than a full all-out practical family carrying machine, but I guess that's kind of the point of this car. And around the back we see a sort of melange of Porsche Taycan, Porsche Panamera, and I think this is very Bentley-esque. Let me know your thoughts again in the comments down below. Now, it's not ready for sale in Australia yet. It hasn't been confirmed for our market at the time of me filming this video, and that's why we've got Mandarin script here on the back. You've also got this cool pop-out spoiler, and the boot is a little bit interesting. It definitely suits the coupe GT aesthetic rather than being something quite as practical as a Tesla Model 3 or a Polestar 2. Right off the bat, this thing is a really quirky machine. We are in the single motor version, so it's got 150 kilowatts of power and 340 Newton meters of torque. Of course, it's electric, so it's instantly accessible. But the big news is that there will be a performance version of this that'll get to 100 k's an hour in 4.3 seconds. That's a twin motor version of this car. So the same front motor duplicated into the back. And this one's front wheel drive, so we'll get to a twisty bit in a minute because we're starting out on this nice simulation of an Australian highway, kind of cruising along, just chilling. Steering is definitely sharper than the smaller bodied GWM Ora. The small car, it definitely has a slightly sportier vibe to it, not super heavy. Again, I am back in normal mode here, so when we get to the twisty bits, we'll give you a little bit of feedback there. Light, sort of direct, and the pedal feedback, it sort of suffers from the same issue that I noted in the smaller car, and that is a little bit of lag on driver input. Feels like it takes half a second to pick up on the throttle response and then half a second to come off on the one pedal mode. That's probably going to make it smoother to drive if you're not used to an EV, but for me, I've been driving a fair few lately, Model 3s and Polestar 2s, so I'm really a fan of one pedal at the moment. But you can turn that off and go normal blended mode, which we're about to do now. So going to go into sport mode and see what it does on a twisty road here at AARC. Let's do that. Camera's coming up too, very nice. The 5% gradient section of the AARC, a little bit twistier, a little bit narrower. This first corner is a tightening radius, little hairpin. It's quite tricky, so we'll see how this thing goes in. When we tip it in, I've got to remember that sport means no one pedal. Yeah, quite soft, bit of body roll going on, but talented. That engine noise is super weird. It's like being in an EV, but you've got a simulated V6. How strange. Another little tricky one, brake pedal, fairly confidence inspiring. Wow, cool. Yeah, funky, huh? What an interesting car. Now ride quality, because this is sort of where we can assess a bit of that. As I said, we tipped it into that corner back there. It's a pretty soft car. Definitely doesn't feel as supportive in the corners as a Tesla Model 3 or a Polestar 2 with the performance pack. But there's a light feeling to it. The way that the steering is weighted is quite digital. So it does make it feel like it tips in quite sharply. I don't know, it's going to be interesting. I really want to get this out onto a good piece of road. That is, if it ever does come to Australia. That's still to be confirmed. This thing we're in now is probably only going to be about the same price as a Polestar 2 or a Tesla Model 3. GWM says it may even be cheaper than those two, but we're yet to see final pricing. Let me give you, as we come to the end of this little drive, a little rundown of the battery pack sizes. So there's 2 battery pack sizes. This one we're in right now, the single motor, is the smaller of the two, so about 63 kilowatt hours. And then the bigger motor gets an 85 kilowatt hour battery, and that means that you get about, they say 550 Ks in NEDC testing in this model that we're in right now. So the shorter range, and that'll be obviously confirmed with WLTP protocol. We've got 286 showing to empty here from 52% of battery, but this driving we're doing right now is not in any way indicative of what you'd be doing on the road. So actually that number gives me a fair amount of confidence in this vehicle, but we're gonna have to wait and see. It's cool, it's funky, it's different. Is it better than what's out there necessarily? I'm not sure. We're gonna have to get them on the same piece of road, all the cars, and give them a proper test. But yeah, let me know what you think of this thing in the comment section down below. The pink colorway, that sort of slightly feminine pitch, whether you think that's the right thing for GWM to be doing, or whether they should be changing that for Australia, and whether you reckon this thing really is a Tesla Model 3 and a Polestar 2 killer. Make sure you hit subscribe if you haven't done so already, and thanks for watching Wheels.